Some games seem to live in eternal limbo. Yandere Simulator, Star Citizen, Beyond Good and Evil 2, projects that thrilled us when they were announced but have since become memes of infinite waiting. Why does this happen? What makes some video games seem impossible to finish? Today we're diving into the challenges of game development to figure out why certain projects never seem to reach the finish line. Many games start with massive promises, but delivering on them is often harder than expected. Take Star Citizen for instance. What started as a space simulator turned into a behemoth of a project, with open worlds, massive multiplayer, and cutting-edge graphics. Over a decade after its announcement, it's still in development. Building a virtual universe, it seems, takes longer than exploring real space. Then there's No Man's Sky, which promised an infinite procedurally generated universe. The idea wasn't the issue. It was the sky-high expectation. While the game eventually redeemed itself, its launch was a glaring reminder. Dreaming big can sometimes make projects crumble under their own weight. Ambition isn't always about size. Sometimes it's about unchecked creativity. Beyond Good and Evil 2 aimed to be much more than its predecessor, an open universe, an ambitious narrative, and a scale never before seen in their game. However, these big ideas have kept the project stuck in development for years, trapped in constant redesigns. When ideas have no limits, projects turn into infinite canvases. There's always something more to add, and they never feel finished. Game development can also feel like a race against time, especially when technology advances faster than project. A great example is The Last Guardian, which began development for the PlayStation 3 but ended up launching on the PlayStation 4 after years of delays. Adapting to new platforms doesn't just mean redoing parts of the game, it's also about facing unexpected technical limitations. It's like trying to build a house while moving to a new plot of land. You're constantly rebuilding the foundation. Another major hurdle is when the tools used to create the game aren't fully developed or are too specialized. Cyberpunk 2077 is a prime example, developed using the RED engine. It faced challenges adapting to different forms. This led to glitches and performance issues, especially on last-gen consoles. Custom engines offer a lot of flexibility, but they also create unique problems that lived before. Even with great tools, large games are prone to bugs. Debugging can take months, or even years, especially for smaller projects. Yandere Simulator is a good example, being primarily developed by one person. So while bug memes are funny, every glitch fixed is time taken away from adding new features. Not all games come from massive studios. While this can be admirable, it also means progress is much slower, when you have to be the designer, programmer, artist, and community. In cases like these, too many responsibilities make projects feel like they're moving at a glacial pace. Even large teams can fail without good direction. The most infamous example is Duke Nukem Forever. It went through so many engine changes, redesigns, and poor planning decisions that it took over 15 years to complete. Lack of a clear vision, constant shifts in goals, and the pursuit of perfection are often the biggest enemies of large projects. If you don't know where you're going, it's hard to get there. Pressure to meet deadlines and player expectations can lead to the dreaded crunch times, endless work days to meet release goals, are all too common in the industry. While many studios are trying to combat this, the consequences of burnout can be devastating. Low morale, mistakes, and even bigger delays. At the end of the day, video games are made by people, and keeping them healthy is key forward. After exploring excessive ambition, technical limitations, and human factors, one thing is clear. Game development is as exciting as it is complex. Some projects are held back by impossible dreams, others by unready tools or overwhelmed teams. Ultimately, all these challenges come down to something very human. The desire to create something extraordinary, no matter how difficult the path. Video games are so much more than mere products. They're living works of art, created by passionate people aiming to amaze. Sometimes the wait feels endless, but when it all comes together, we're reminded why it's worth it. So here's a question for you. Is it better to make a game quickly or to take the time and get it just right? You decide.